Alright, guys, welcome to Module 2, the basics of metaphysics. So we've gone through the baseline rules and laws of how reality operates. Now we're going to go into the actual system of operating this reality, the system of controlling your reality and entering that desired reality, which is metaphysics. Now, if you're here, you're probably in one of two boxes, which is either you haven't heard of metaphysics before, which I've seen as actually quite common. People don't actually know about it. But you've probably heard of mindset, manifestation. You've heard that mind is powerful. You've heard of the subconscious and the conscious mind. All of that falls within metaphysics. Or the second box is you know of metaphysics, you know some stuff about it, but you're looking for that clarity, the clarity that is actually going to make it work for you. Now, there is a lot of fluff on the internet, and we all know this about metaphysics and about esoteric knowledge and what you can and can't do with it. And again, I'm not somebody who's going to sit and claim that you can just sit on your ass, manifest all day, and just meditate and fucking visualize and take psychedelics and you just get what you want out of reality. That's not the case at all. This all works in a very specific way. And that is the way that I'm going to outline in this program. Right. So let's start with the definition. So what is metaphysics? Meta itself means beyond. So therefore, metaphysics is beyond the physical rules that govern reality. So modern science is also starting to catch up with the fact that reality is not as solid and unbending as we originally thought. Quantum physics shows us some very odd things going on behind the scenes, things that we can't see. Quantum physics may appear to break the rules of reality, but the math proves that it's correct. So, for example, the quantum entanglement effect. So think of two particles or two things that are quantum entangled. No matter what the distance between them, they share the exact same fate in time. So that means if you move one, no matter how far away apart from each other they are in space and time, they move exactly the same way. You move one particle to the left, the other one moves instantly to the left, no matter how far away from each other they are. There is no light involved, there's no light speed, there's no distance, nothing. They are quantumly entangled. So this shows the physical unbending reality that we know and trust is not actually the truth. Now, metaphysics dives into the world beyond the physical. So metaphysics basically looks for the first principles of reality, the fundamental nature, the existence, the universe, the kind of the base laws that control reality and answering how it works. So metaphysics takes a look at reality. Metaphysics takes a look at reality as a whole, and it figures out, how does it work? How do we fit in it? How do we control it? Now, what I teach is a little bit of a step further than classic metaphysics because I combine metaphysics, psychology, metapsychology, occult knowledge, manifestation, various religious knowledge, spirituality, and neuroscience. I combine all of this so that I can give you a system which allows you to navigate and control your reality to the best of your ability. Now let's jump into the fundamentals. So simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. I have read hundreds of books. I've done tons of out-of-body experience work. I've done a lot of work with psychedelics. I've done a lot of observation, and I've tried and tested nearly everything within the metaphysical realm. So while the stuff that I'm about to give you might seem basic, I just want to let you know that it cuts through a lot of the fluff like a fucking razor blade, and it will give you a system that works the moment that you apply it. So you may look at this stuff and you may think, oh, this is simple. This is stuff that I've heard before. But you actually need to apply it. You actually need to take action on the information. You actually need to take it and put it towards something, and then you will see it work. Because if you're just here for knowledge, you're wasting your time. I'm not going to be another person that jacks off your mind with endless fucking knowledge, making you think that you are making progress because you are learning stuff and you supposedly know more than other people, but you don't apply any of it. If you don't apply this, it's a complete and utter waste of time. So the baseline of metaphysics is that everything fundamentally exists on three planes of existence. Now, you may have heard of this before. You may have heard of the different planes of existence, but there are essentially three planes of existence in reality. And you need to do everything across these three planes of existence at once. It all has to be in alignment in order to manifest, in order to create your reality. So there is the mental plane of existence, there is the physical plane of existence, Everything is a mental layer. If you take a look at neural networks, if you take a look at electricity, if you have a look at how trees are shaped with all of the branches going out, that is the mental layer of things. That is the connected mind on all things. Even if you look at your hand, you can see the veins on your hand. They also have the same shape, the shape that looks like a lightning strike, the shape that looks like the roots of a tree. It's all mental. It's all how mental energy connects. Next up is the spiritual plane of existence, which is your emotion. Everything also has a spiritual layer, everything has a feeling layer, and the feeling layer is the meaning layer of reality. And then finally, you have the physical plane of existence. So within the physical plane of existence, energy can crystallize into a physical equivalent. Energy does not always crystallize into a physical equivalent, but it can. So you'll see everything around you, you'll see nature. It all has the three layers of existence. It all has the three planes of existence. Everything is made up of the three energies. But not everything is always physical. You can have a thought and it never materializes. You get what I mean? So what you're probably asking right now is, Regan, are you telling me that there is more than one world? There's more than the world that we live in? Well, yes, I am. So quantum field theory, which is the framework of modern physics, shows that particles are just excitations in invisible energy fields. So anything physical that you see is just a byproduct of the other two planes of existence. Everything starts out as energy before those different energies come together and form particles, which forms the physical reality. So what are these building blocks outside of the physical? What comes before the physical? Well, that is the mental and the spiritual planes of existence. They are the cause of reality. They come long before the physical equivalent. Everything starts as a thought, everything becomes emotionally charged, and only then does it actually become physical. So everything starts with a thought form. So a thought form is what manifests in the shape of this torus field. This shape over here, this is the shape of how energy flows in the universe. You can notice this in vortexes, you can notice this in fucking tornadoes, just how energy always flows. Even airflow, if you look at those videos of airflow over race cars and things, they always form this like vortex shape because this is the most efficient energy flow. So how do these things appear in the causal planes of existence? They appear as an archetype. So if you've read any of Carl Jung's work, you've probably heard a million times of archetypes. An archetype is basically a certain character which has a set of behaviors and a feeling associated with it. So if you think of a pirate, if you think of a nurse, if you think of a zombie apocalypse, each of these have a certain energy associated with them. They have a certain feeling that you immediately lock onto. You think of it and you immediately lock onto a feeling which gives you understanding of it, gives you a kind of, oh, this is a pirate feeling. This is how a pirate acts, something along those lines. Now, all of these archetypes have a certain energy associated with them, and you have the power of creating and manifesting these archetypes. So a thought form itself becomes materialized when an archetype is applied to the physical plane of existence through the body, which is action. And this is the basis of reality creation. So a lot of these manifestation coaches, a lot of these gurus make like you can just sit around and manifest stuff out of thin air. That is a complete and utter load of bullshit. You have to take action. You have to take action to bring these archetypes into reality. So with manifestation, it will start as a thought. Everything starts as a thought. Every idea that anybody has ever had to build something started as a thought. And then it becomes charged through emotion. It becomes charged through the will to bring it into reality. That feeling of bringing it into reality, of seeing something that you want to be real in the physical reality. You take that and you charge it with a feeling. That thought form is just a bunch of different ideas locking in together. And that charged thought form will become a part of you. And as it becomes a part of you, you feel that energy. Then you take action from that energy. And that is how you manifest. You take action from that energy. And that is what will actually bring it into the physical reality. Because that energy will give you direction, will give you understanding like a servo mechanism of how to manifest that reality. Now, what I want you to note as well is the microcosms and macrocosms of the universe. Everything is a microcosm or a macrocosm. Everything follows the same fundamental rules, just in bigger and smaller proportions. So you are an archetype as well. Every single person is an archetype. The person that you are, which is your identity, can be felt by other people, as the Heart Math Institute proves with a study that shows that there's a magnetic field which permeates several feet outside your body, and you influence how other people feel, and they influence how you feel based on that magnetic field. Everybody is an archetype. You think of one random person and you'll realize you have an understanding of that person just based off of the feeling. So this archetype is essentially your subconscious mind and all the beliefs that you hold, which filters consciousness through that lens. Remember in the first module, I talked about identity operators. You are an identity operator. You have the baseline energy inside of you. You have the baseline energy of God inside of you, which can manifest into absolutely anything. But what you place as your archetype through your beliefs, through your understanding of the world, through everything that you are, is what shapes that consciousness. So your experience of reality is based off of your archetype, is based off of your identity. So what now? Well, now you're kind of aware of how reality manifests through archetypes. And this applies to every single level of identity, whether that is your entire life, whether it's a person, condition, circumstance, or object that you want to manifest, whether it's you want a completely different life, whether you just want something to change in your life. In order to manifest the things that you want, you have to start with the archetype. You have to start with creating that archetype in your mind, in your awareness. Now, how this is done is by emotionally experiencing the things that you desire in the now without distance or separation. So the technique doesn't matter, as I've mentioned a million times. Visualization, meditation, self-talk, self-concept, affirmations, the technique does not matter. What matters is that you experience reality through the lens of your desire before the 3D proves it to you. Because the 3D is just a mirror. Everything outside of you is just a mirror of your internal state. So you change your internal state and it changes how you experience the 3D reality over time. But there's no time within you. There is no time involved when you change your internal state. Now, another fundamental metaphysical truth is that all things are already created. So every single event, every single version of you, every single life or decision that you can make or have is already in existence in the alternative planes of existence. So every thought that you have is very real, just not materialized. So how do you take this and how do you create your desired reality? You have to mate a thought form to an emotion, embody it, and allow your intuition to guide your actions from the energy of this archetype. And I've already said this, I'm going to keep repeating it over and over again until it clicks for you, because that's how it works. It needs to click in the deepest parts of your subconscious mind, and then this will become completely natural to you. So you guide your actions from the energy of your archetype. This is the entirety of how to create your desired reality. It is simple, but it is not easy for reasons we'll go into a little bit later in the program, but I don't want to overwhelm you right now. So let's take a look at an action example. Let's say that you want to manifest a healthy body, like you look jacked, you look lean, and you're consistent with the gym. You would start by affirming that this is true in the present. So it's not something out there, it's not something that's external, it's not something that you need to change in the external. You embody it. You change your self-concept to be this person right now. You visualize it, you feel the energy, you meditate on it, and you start showing up as if you are already that guy, not becoming. If you're in a state of becoming, you'll always be in a state of becoming. You need to be in the state of already being that guy. So you visualize it, you feel exactly what your life is like when you have that outcome, when you have that desired outcome. And then you be that now. You be that person right now. Because in the right identity, the action comes naturally. You wouldn't be the guy who's starting and trying to be consistent with the gym. You're being the guy who already has it, who already has the right habits and the result and is living in that moment in the present. And then, of course, the action comes naturally. Of course, you go to the gym naturally. Of course, you just feel like getting up and running randomly, just being that healthy person because you feel it internally. There's no resistance. There's no resistance to the action when the identity is aligned. It all becomes completely natural. And that is how metaphysics functions. With that being said, I will see you in the next module.